The mysterious absence. Hook. The Earth was not supposed to be here. Not in the way it had been for centuries, always present at the heart of the galaxy, always contributing to the vast network of planets in the Galactic Council. Yet today, the unthinkable happened. The seat of Earth in the Council, a position it had occupied for millennia, stood empty. The news spread like wildfire across Earth's media. People watched in stunned silence as a message broadcasted from the Galactic Council appeared on their screens. The message wasn't just shocking, it was terrifying. To the people of Earth, your seat in the Galactic Council has been vacated. You will no longer participate in the affairs of the galaxy. Further details will be shared soon. The screen blinked, and the transmission was over. There were no answers, no explanations, just a cold, distant finality that left a chill in the air. But there was something even more disturbing than Earth's sudden exclusion. No one knew why it happened. No one had any clue what had gone wrong. The Galactic Council, a body of powerful species that governed the galaxy, was always meticulous in their operations. They wouldn't simply abandon a member of their ranks without a reason. Yet, Earth's absence was left unexplained. Why? In the aftermath of the broadcast, Earth's leaders scrambled to understand what had happened. The United Nations, the global governing body, called an emergency meeting. World leaders from every corner of the planet gathered to discuss the sudden turn of events. "We've never seen anything like this before," one of the leaders stated, his voice trembling. "Earth has been a part of the Galactic Council for centuries. Why would they suddenly expel us?" A murmur of agreement passed through the room, but no one had an answer. One young diplomat, an up-and-coming representative of Earth, sat quietly in the back of the room. His name was Leo Hanley, and unlike many of the older leaders, he had always been fascinated by the stories of Earth's past interactions with the galaxy. He knew there was more to this story than met the eye, and he was determined to find out what it was. As the meeting broke up, Leo made his way to his office. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something important hiding behind the sudden silence of the Council. Earth's exclusion wasn't just a simple matter of politics. It was something much bigger, much more dangerous. The next day, Leo received an encrypted message. The message was anonymous, but the tone was urgent. "You need to look into Earth's past. The truth is hidden in plain sight." Leo was startled but intrigued. He had always known there were secrets buried deep within Earth's history, secrets that the Galactic Council would do anything to keep hidden. But he had never imagined they might be connected to the disappearance of Earth from the Council. He began researching immediately. His search took him through ancient records, old Council reports, and obscure references to Earth's early days in the galaxy. For hours, Leo combed through documents, piecing together fragments of a long-forgotten past. He uncovered something strange, something unsettling. There were no records of Earth's founding members in the Council's archives, no mention of Earth's participation in the earliest meetings. The more Leo dug, the more he realized that Earth had been quietly erased from history. It was as if the planet's existence in the galactic body had been rewritten. Leo's heart raced as he stumbled upon a piece of data that made everything click into place. A document dated centuries ago, with a single, chilling line. "Earth will remain silent. Its seat will be empty until the time is right." The cryptic message left Leo with more questions than answers. Who had written this? And why had Earth been marked for silence? What had happened in the distant past to cause the Council to wipe Earth's record from existence? As Leo sat back in his chair, his mind whirling with possibilities, his communicator beeped. The message was from a source he didn't recognize. It was short and to the point. "You're digging in the wrong place. Stop before it's too late." Leo's heart skipped a beat. He had thought he was getting close to the truth, but now it seemed like someone was trying to stop him. Someone powerful, someone who didn't want Earth's secrets uncovered. He sat in silence for a moment, contemplating his next move. Should he listen to the warning and stop? Or should he continue his search for the truth, knowing that whatever he uncovered could shake the very foundation of everything Earth knew about the galaxy? Leo's instincts told him to push forward. There was something much bigger at play here, and Earth's exclusion was only the beginning. The mystery of Earth's absence from the Galactic Council was just the tip of the iceberg. The more Leo uncovered, the darker the secrets became, and he had a feeling that what he was about to discover could change everything, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. He wasn't going to stop now. Leo had just begun to peel back the layers of the greatest mystery of all, one that had remained hidden for centuries, and he knew that the truth was far more terrifying than anything he could have imagined. As Leo stood up from his desk and prepared to continue his investigation, he felt a deep sense of foreboding. The truth was out there, but it was going to cost him everything to find it. Leo couldn't shake the weight of the warning. The message had been clear. Someone didn't want him digging any deeper, but there was a fire inside him, something stronger than fear, that pushed him forward. What could be so dangerous that the Galactic Council wanted to keep it hidden from Earth? And why had the planet's seat at the Council remained empty for so long? He decided he couldn't trust just the data he had already found. The documents he uncovered seemed carefully hidden, but something told him there was more to the story, something much older, buried deep in Earth's ancient history. Leo's first step was to get access to the most secretive records Earth held, those buried deep in the vaults of the Galactic Council archives. These archives weren't just public records, they were the most secure documents in the galaxy. Only the highest-ranking officials had clearance to view them, and they contained the Council's most sensitive secrets. He had an ally, a hacker named Ayla, who had helped him in the past with accessing restricted databases. She was brilliant, one of the best in the galaxy, and if anyone could help him break through the Council's security, it was her. Late at night, when most of the world was asleep, Leo contacted Ayla. He knew the risks, but there was no turning back now. If the truth was buried in those records, he needed to find it. They arranged to meet in a quiet, hidden location in a city far from the prying eyes of the Council's surveillance. Ayla was a woman of few words, her dark eyes sharp and focused as she sat across from Leo. "You know what you're asking, right?" she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Accessing these files is illegal, and if we're caught, well, you're not just risking your life, you're risking the lives of everyone on Earth." Leo nodded, his resolve firm. "I don't care about the risk anymore. The Council has hidden something from us, and it's time the truth came out. If we don't act now, Earth may never be able to reclaim its place in the galaxy." Ayla didn't reply immediately. She studied Leo for a long moment, weighing his words. Finally, she sighed and tapped on her console. "All right, but you're on your own once we get inside. I'll do the hacking, but you'll have to find the records you need." Minutes turned into hours as Ayla worked. Her fingers moved across the console with incredible speed, bypassing one layer of security after another. It was like watching a master at work. Leo sat silently, his heart racing as he watched the progress. Finally, Ayla looked up, her eyes gleaming. "We're in," she said simply. Leo immediately jumped to his feet. He had known this would be their only chance, and he wasn't going to waste it. Together, they accessed the Council's deepest archives, ancient documents, classified reports, and encrypted messages that had been hidden for centuries. Leo's heart pounded as he scanned through the records. His mind raced with questions. What could Earth's past hold that was so dangerous? What had the Council been trying to keep from them? Then he found it. A series of ancient documents with no labels, just numbers and codes. These were old, older than anything he had seen in the Galactic Council's public archives. And the deeper he dug, the more his sense of unease grew. The documents referred to Earth in a way that seemed almost mythological. They spoke of a time long before Earth had joined the Galactic Council, a time when Earth's existence was not even known to the larger galaxy. But the most unsettling part was the warnings. These records contained cryptic messages, each one warning future generations about the dangers of Earth's power, its capacity to shake the very balance of the galaxy. One particular document caught his attention. It was a report from the Council's earliest meetings, a time when the galaxy was first being unified under one rule. The report stated, Earth's power is unlike any other in the galaxy. To keep balance, its presence must remain unacknowledged. Only when the time is right will the Council allow Earth's true power to emerge. Until then, Earth must remain silent. Leo couldn't believe what he was reading. Earth was being kept silent not because it was weak, but because it was too powerful. And the Council had known about this power for centuries. His mind raced. What was this power? What had Earth done to make the Council fear it so much? He continued to dig, but the answers weren't clear. The further he went, the more the documents became fragmented, as if someone had intentionally erased parts of the history. Ayla's voice broke through his thoughts. Leo, we need to get out of here. We're pushing our luck. He nodded but didn't move. His eyes were still glued to the screen. The truth was right in front of him, but it was incomplete. He couldn't stop now. Ayla, noticing his hesitation, stepped closer. You've found enough for tonight. You need to rest, and we need to plan our next move carefully. If we keep going down this road, we're going to end up in deeper trouble than we can handle. Reluctantly, Leo closed the files and let out a deep breath. He had learned more than he ever expected, but it wasn't enough. There was still something bigger hiding in the shadows, something the Council was desperately trying to keep buried. We'll be back, Leo said quietly, a newfound determination in his voice. The truth isn't finished yet, and I won't stop until I find out everything. As Leo and Ayla left the hidden room, he couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of something much darker. Earth's absence from the Galactic Council was just the beginning. Something far more dangerous was waiting to be uncovered, and Leo was ready to face it, whatever the cost. Leo couldn't sleep. The words from the mysterious document kept echoing in his mind. Earth's power is unlike any other in the galaxy. What did it mean? And why was the Galactic Council so terrified of it? As the hours passed, the questions grew more urgent, each one feeding the fire inside him. The following day, Leo met with Ayla to discuss their next move. They needed to find out more about Earth's ancient power. The Council had hidden this information for a reason, and he was determined to uncover the truth. They couldn't go back to the same archives. The risk was too great. But Ayla had an idea. There was another source, a secretive group that specialized in uncovering ancient galactic mysteries, the Archivists. The Archivists were a mysterious collective of scholars, researchers, and former council members who operated in the shadows. They had access to records and knowledge that even the highest-ranking council officials were unaware of. The group's headquarters was hidden, known only to a select few, and gaining access was no easy task. But Ayla knew a way in. She had once helped the Archivists with a small project, and they owed her a favor. Are you sure about this? Leo asked, his voice laced with doubt. The Archivists are dangerous. They operate outside the law. Getting involved with them could bring down the whole council on us. Ayla shrugged. Sometimes the truth requires a little danger, Leo. We've already come too far to back up now. After a long silence, Leo nodded. All right, let's do it. Ayla sent a message to one of her contacts, and within hours, they were on their way to a hidden location on the far side of the galaxy. The journey was long and uneventful, but Leo couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Every passing moment felt like they were stepping closer to a truth that could shatter everything they knew about Earth and the galaxy. When they arrived, they were greeted by a man named Duran, an older member of the Archivists with a reputation for knowing things that no one else did. His graying hair and deep-set eyes gave him an air of authority. Without a word, he led them into a dimly lit room filled with holographic displays, ancient artifacts, and stacks of old, yellowed documents. This is where the real truth is hidden, Joran said, his voice low and serious. If you're here, then you've already seen the first clues. But understand this, What you're asking to uncover is not something to take lightly. The secrets of Earth's past are not just dangerous. They are deadly. Leo's heart skipped a beat. This was no longer just about uncovering hidden truths. They were about to delve into something far darker, something that could threaten the entire galaxy. But it was too late to turn back now. He had already seen too much. What do you know about Earth? Leo asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Joran stared at him for a long moment before answering. Earth's power comes from its past, a past that even the Council cannot fully comprehend. Long before Earth was discovered by the galaxy, there was a time when its inhabitants wielded abilities far beyond anything we've seen today. But those abilities were dangerous. Too dangerous. Ayla stepped forward. What do you mean? What abilities? Joran sighed, sitting down at a large console and bringing up an ancient holographic map. The image was distorted, but Leo could still make out the shapes of distant galaxies and systems. One part of the map was different, marked with strange symbols. This is the key, Joran explained. Earth's power is tied to a long-lost civilization, one that existed before the current Council's formation. The people of this civilization were capable of manipulating energy on a scale we can't even imagine. They harnessed the very fabric of the universe itself. And when they disappeared, they left behind relics, technology, and knowledge far beyond our understanding. Leo felt a chill run down his spine. If the Council knows about this, why don't they want anyone to know? Joran paused, his face grave. Because the Council's leaders are afraid. Afraid that one day, Earth's true potential will awaken again. They fear that when the time comes, Earth will be powerful enough to disrupt the delicate balance they've created in the galaxy. Earth was kept in the dark for a reason. If it ever remembers what it was capable of, the entire galaxy could fall into chaos. Ayla frowned. But why leave Earth's seat empty at the Council? If they're so afraid of Earth's power, why not just destroy it? Because Earth is a wild card, Joran replied. The power on Earth cannot be controlled, and there's a fear that if it's ever provoked, it could become a force that the Council itself cannot stop. It's a ticking time bomb. Leo felt a surge of anger. So they've been holding us back all this time because they're afraid. Afraid of our potential. Joran didn't reply immediately. Instead, he brought up another hologram, this one showing an ancient Earth artifact, a relic from the civilization long lost to time. It was a simple-looking object, nothing more than a small stone with markings that seemed to glow faintly. But as Leo looked closer, he could feel something powerful, coming from it. This artifact, Joran said, is the key to understanding Earth's past. It's said to be a map, a guide to a hidden location where the original civilization left behind their greatest power. If you find this place, Leo, you will uncover Earth's true purpose. Leo stared at the artifact, his mind racing. This was what the Council had been hiding. This was the answer to why Earth's seat had stayed empty for so long. There's just one problem, Joran added, his voice grim. Others are looking for it too, and they will stop at nothing to keep Earth from unlocking its past. Leo's blood ran cold. They weren't alone in this search, and if they weren't careful, they might awaken something far darker than they could ever imagine. The air felt heavy in the dimly lit room as Leo stood frozen, staring at the holographic image of the ancient artifact. Joran's words echoed in his mind. Others are looking for it too. That simple phrase sent a shiver down his spine. If the artifact was truly as powerful as Joran said, then there were forces out there. Forces that would stop at nothing to control it. Leo's heart raced, realizing that he and Ayla were no longer merely uncovering the truth. They were now part of a deadly race against time and enemies they hadn't even begun to understand. Ayla stood beside him, her face set with determination. She had always been the pragmatic one, the one who kept a cool head, but even she was now showing signs of anxiety. The stakes had escalated beyond anything they had expected. What had started as a simple investigation into Earth's mysterious absence from the Galactic Council was quickly spiraling into something far more dangerous. "I don't like this," Ayla said softly, breaking the silence. "If Joran's right, then we're not just looking for an artifact. We're looking for a weapon, one that could reshape the entire galaxy." Leo glanced at her, his expression hardening. "Then we'd better find it first." Joran stepped forward, his expression serious. "The problem is, the artifact isn't easy to find. It's hidden somewhere in the depths of Earth's past, and the galaxy's history has a habit of erasing things it doesn't want remembered. If the Council's fears are true, then the artifact's location is locked away in ancient, encrypted data that few can access. Then we'll find a way to decrypt it," Leo said, his voice resolute. "How do we start?" Joran nodded slowly. "There are ancient ruins on Earth, ruins that have been abandoned for millennia. They are believed to hold the key to unlocking the artifact's secrets. The location of those ruins is known to only a handful of people, and one of them is an old acquaintance of mine. We'll need his help." "Who is he?" Ayla asked. "A former archaeologist who specializes in Earth's ancient civilizations," Joran replied. "He lives in exile now, having fallen out of favor with the Council long ago. If anyone knows the truth, it's him." Leo's gut twisted with uncertainty. He wasn't sure what they were walking into, but the risk was undeniable. They were about to embark on a journey that would lead them straight to Earth's forgotten past, and perhaps the galaxy's future. The journey to find this archaeologist took them to a desolate planet at the edge of the galaxy, a place far removed from the bustling systems of the Council. The atmosphere here was thick with dust, and the ruins of long-forgotten civilizations littered the landscape like abandoned tombs. As their ship descended onto the surface, Leo couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. This was a place where secrets had been buried, both literal and figurative. When they landed, a small figure approached them through the dust. It was a man, slightly hunched, with a long coat that had seen better days. His eyes were sharp, though, betraying a keen intellect. His name was Caden, and according to Joran, he was one of the few people who could help them decipher the mysteries of Earth's ancient civilizations. "Joran," the man greeted with a nod. "I figured it was only a matter of time before you'd come looking for me." "Caden," Joran replied, "we need your expertise. The Council's been hiding something about Earth's past. We believe you're the only one who can help us find it." Caden's eyes narrowed as he studied Leo and Ayla. He seemed to weigh them carefully before nodding. "All right. If Joran trusts you, then I suppose I can help. But let me make one thing clear. What we're dealing with is not something to take lightly. If you're looking for some kind of treasure, you'll be disappointed. What's hidden on Earth is far more dangerous than that." Leo exchanged a glance with Ayla. The stakes were growing higher with every word. Caden led them to a nearby cave, its entrance barely visible against the backdrop of jagged rocks. The inside was dim, illuminated only by the faint glow of the devices Caden had brought with him. As they ventured deeper, they reached a large chamber filled with ancient symbols etched into the walls. "These symbols are a map," Caden explained, activating a small holographic projector. "They've been here for centuries, hidden away from the eyes of those who might misuse them. But the coordinates they lead to..." He hesitated, his voice lowering. "Air in the ruins on Earth." Leo's mind raced. The journey was far from over, but they were one step closer to uncovering the truth. "What do we do next?" Caden pointed to a set of coordinates on the holographic map. "We need to get to Earth. If we follow these symbols, they'll lead us to the site where the artifact is hidden. But be warned, there will be others who will be looking for it too, and they won't hesitate to stop you." Leo's pulse quickened. He could feel the danger in the air, but he also felt the pull of something far greater, a truth so powerful that it could change the course of history. "We'll get there first," Leo said, determination filling his voice. "We have no choice." Ayla nodded. "Let's go." As they left the cave and headed back to the ship, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a storm. The artifact was within their reach, but so were their enemies. And as they prepared to leave the desolate planet behind, Leo knew one thing for certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The journey back to their ship was uneventful, but the weight of what lay ahead hung heavily on Leo's shoulders. Earth, the cradle of humanity, was no longer just the place where they'd begun their search. It was now the center of a vast, dangerous mystery that could change everything. The more Leo thought about it, the more he understood just how little they knew. What had once seemed like an adventure into the unknown had quickly become a deadly race against time. Caden had been strangely quiet since they left the cave. Leo could see the wariness in his eyes, the fear that the pieces of this puzzle were slipping into place faster than they could follow. "We need to make sure we're not being followed," Ayla said as she keyed in the coordinates to their ship's control system. Her voice was calm, but Leo could hear the underlying tension. She had a sharp instinct for danger, and it was hard to ignore the reality of the situation. They were being hunted. Leo nodded. "Let's take the long route. We don't want anyone getting too close before we reach Earth." The ship's engines hummed as they lifted off, leaving the desolate planet behind. The view of the stars stretched out before them like an endless sea, but Leo couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped in something much larger than himself. The deeper they went, the more they realized just how little they understood about the forces at play. As they entered hyperspace, Leo leaned back in his seat and let his mind wander. Earth had always been a place of peace, a planet that had somehow stayed outside the larger galactic conflicts for centuries. But now, it seemed like that peaceful image was a carefully constructed illusion. There was something dark and dangerous buried in its past, and if Leo was right, it was something that had the potential to bring the galaxy to its knees. Ayla sat next to him, tapping away at the control panel, her face lit by the soft glow of the screens. She had been the one to push him into investigating the Council's secrets, and while he had doubted her at first, he now saw the brilliance in her plan. Earth's absence from the Galactic Council had never made sense. There had to be a reason, a very good reason, that no one had dared ask about it. And now, they were about to find out why. Caden, however, was growing increasingly uneasy. His gaze flickered from the window to the various screens around them, clearly restless. "There's something I need to tell you," he said abruptly, breaking the silence. Leo turned to him, sensing the seriousness in Caden's tone. "What's going on?" Caden hesitated before speaking. "There are others, the ones looking for the artifact. You need to understand, they won't stop. They'll do whatever it takes to find it. This isn't just about a piece of history. It's about power." Ayla's eyes narrowed. "You're saying there are more like us out there?" "Yes," Caden replied, his voice low. "And they won't hesitate to destroy anyone who stands in their way." Leo could feel the shift in the atmosphere. This wasn't just an archaeological dig. This was a battle for control of something far greater than they had imagined. The artifact wasn't just a relic. It was a weapon, a force that could alter the balance of power in the galaxy. For the first time, Leo realized the magnitude of what they were dealing with. It wasn't just about Earth's absence from the Council. It was about the past, about what had been hidden, buried, and erased from galactic memory for a reason. The journey to Earth felt longer than it should have. The closer they got, the more Leo's thoughts spiraled. The Council, the artifact, the enemies, they were all tied together, and somehow they were all connected to the place they were about to return to, Earth. When their ship finally broke through hyperspace and entered Earth's atmosphere, Leo couldn't help but feel a sense of awe mixed with dread. Below them lay a planet that had been forgotten by the galaxy, a place that had been left to its own devices for far too long. The ship descended toward the surface, and Leo couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. He looked out the window, scanning the horizon for any sign of pursuit. It was quiet, but that quietness felt dangerous, like the calm before a storm. As the ship touched down on the rocky surface of a remote area in the Earth's mountain range, Leo's heart raced. The coordinates they had followed led them here, into the heart of a place that had been abandoned for centuries. Caden led the way, guiding them toward the hidden entrance to the ruins. "There's no turning back now," Leo muttered under his breath. "Not that I would want to," Ayla replied, her voice steady as ever. "We've come too far." They entered the ruins, stepping into a world lost to time. The walls were covered in ancient symbols, their meanings long forgotten. The air was thick with dust, and the only sound was the echo of their footsteps in the darkened corridors. Caden led them deeper into the heart of the ruins. The tension in the air was palpable, each step taking them closer to something ancient and powerful, something that could change everything. And then, as they turned a corner, Leo saw it. A massive chamber opened before them, its walls lined with more symbols, symbols that were far more advanced than anything they had seen so far. At the center of the room, there was a pedestal, and on that pedestal, there it was, the artifact. But something was wrong. As Leo stepped closer, his eyes widened in shock. The artifact wasn't just a relic. It was active, humming with energy, as though it had been waiting for them. The power emanating from it was overwhelming, filling the room with a sense of dread and awe. Ayla's voice was barely a whisper. "We found it." Leo reached out, his hand trembling as he approached the artifact. The room seemed to pulse with energy, and for a moment, it felt like the entire universe was holding its breath. But they weren't alone. A distant sound, almost imperceptible at first, reached their ears. Footsteps. Someone else had found them. Leo's heart pounded in his chest as the distant footsteps grew louder. He could hear the crunch of boots on the ancient stone floor, the deliberate pace that sent a chill down his spine. The enemy was closing in. They weren't just here for the artifact. They were here to take it, by force if necessary. Leo's hand hovered just above the glowing artifact, its pulsing energy almost beckoning him to touch it. But his mind raced. What had they just uncovered? What kind of power did this ancient relic hold? Caden, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward, his voice urgent. "We need to leave now, Leo. This isn't just about the artifact anymore. This is much bigger than we realized." Ayla nodded in agreement, her eyes scanning the shadows at the far end of the chamber, her hand instinctively moving to the weapon at her side. "Whoever's coming, they've been tracking us. We're out of time." Leo couldn't argue. They had come this far, further than anyone else in the galaxy. But now, the true cost of this discovery was becoming clear. This wasn't just some forgotten piece of history. The artifact wasn't just an object. It was a key to something far more dangerous. They had unknowingly uncovered a secret that had been hidden for centuries, buried so deep that the Galactic Council had gone to great lengths to erase any trace of it. Footsteps echoed again, louder this time, and Leo spun toward the entrance to the chamber, his mind racing. The darkness in the hall beyond them was impenetrable, but there was no mistaking the sound of boots, the unmistakable sign that they were not alone. "They're almost here," Ayla whispered, her voice steady despite the tension. Caden stepped forward, his face grim. "If we don't leave now, we'll be trapped. And I don't think we'll get another chance to retrieve the artifact." The decision was clear, though not easy. The artifact was powerful, but the cost of retrieving it was growing by the second. Leo glanced at Ayla and Caden, who both understood what needed to be done. "Let's go," Leo said, his voice low but resolute. The three of them turned quickly, retracing their steps toward the exit. Leo's mind raced with thoughts of the artifact they were leaving behind, of the ancient secret that had already started unraveling the fabric of their reality. But there was no time to waste. Their mission had just gone from dangerous to deadly, and every second they delayed increased the risk of being captured or worse. As they moved down the narrow corridors, Leo couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. There was a presence, something in the air, a growing sense of unease. The footsteps from behind them had stopped for a moment, but they knew that the enemy was still close, tracking their every move. Suddenly, a low, guttural voice echoed down the corridor. "Don't think you can escape so easily." Leo's heart skipped a beat. The voice was deep, threatening, and strangely familiar. He turned to Caden, who had stopped in his tracks. "You know who that is?" Leo asked urgently. Caden's face had gone pale. "I thought he was dead. This can't be happening." Before Leo could press him further, the sound of footsteps resumed. Closer this time. Far too close. The enemy had caught up, and there was no way out. Ayla's hand moved swiftly to her weapon, her grip tight, her eyes steely with determination. "We're not going down without a fight." Just as they rounded the corner of the last corridor, the shadows shifted, and figures emerged from the darkness. 3 heavily armed soldiers stepped into the light, their eyes glowing with cold malice. They were dressed in the distinctive black armor of the Terran Federation, a group known for operating in the shadows, their motives unclear. Leo froze, his mind working in overdrive. The Terran Federation. They were the last people he had expected to encounter here. The galaxy believed they had disbanded years ago, but clearly that was a lie. Their presence here meant one thing. This wasn't just about a piece of ancient history. This was a battle for control, and the stakes were much higher than they had imagined. "We've been waiting for you, Leo," one of the soldiers spoke, his voice rough and cold. The others flanked him, their weapons trained on the group. Leo took a step back, his pulse quickening. "What do you want with us? Why follow us all the way to Earth?" The soldier smirked, the glow of his helmet hiding his expression. "We don't need you to understand, but we'll make sure you won't leave with what you came for. The artifact belongs to the Federation now." Caden's hand moved to his side, but Leo grabbed his wrist, stopping him. He couldn't risk another fight. Not now. Not when they were this close. Their only option was to escape, but the odds were stacked against them. Ayla stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "You're not getting the artifact. It's not for you." The soldier's smile widened beneath his helmet. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. It's already too late. The artifact is ours." With a swift motion, the soldiers advanced, but Leo was ready. He had seen enough battles to know when it was time to make a move. As one of the soldiers lunged at him, he grabbed the nearest rock and hurled it at the soldier's helmet. The soldier stumbled, disoriented, and that gave Leo just enough time to make a run for it. "Run!" Leo shouted as he turned and bolted down the corridor, his heart pounding in his chest. Ayla and Caden followed closely behind. Their only goal now was to escape with their lives, and with the knowledge of what they had just uncovered. They didn't know where this path would lead, but they couldn't afford to stop now. The Terran Federation was close behind, and the artifact was still within their grasp. The sound of boots echoing down the narrow corridor was like a drumbeat in Leo's ears. The enemy was closing in. The trio had been running for what seemed like hours, but no matter how fast they moved, the footsteps behind them only grew louder. Leo could feel his chest tightening, his breath coming in ragged gasps, but he refused to stop. They had to make it out of here alive. They had no choice. Ayla and Caden were just ahead of him, their eyes scanning every shadow, every turn. It was clear they weren't used to being hunted, not like this. The Galactic Council had sent its best to find them, and now they were trapped. The artifact, the one they had risked everything for, was slipping through their fingers. They could only hope they'd learned enough about it to stop the impending disaster. "We need to lose them," Caden said between breaths, his voice sharp with urgency. Leo nodded, his mind already racing with ideas. "We head to the lower levels. They won't expect us to go that way." Ayla shot him a look. "Are you sure? The lower levels are a maze. We'll get lost." "We don't have a choice," Leo snapped. "It's our only chance." Without waiting for another word, he veered left, sprinting toward the dark, winding tunnels beneath the facility. Ayla and Caden followed close behind, their steps quick and steady. As they descended deeper into the structure, the air grew colder, and the light from their handheld torches flickered in the oppressive darkness. The sound of the Federation soldiers' pursuit faded for a moment. But Leo knew they wouldn't stop. The enemy was relentless. After a few minutes, they arrived at a large open space. The low hum of machinery vibrated through the floor beneath them, and the walls were covered in strange symbols Leo couldn't recognize. His heart pounded in his chest. This place was ancient. It wasn't like the rest of the facility. They had uncovered something far older than anything they'd ever seen before. "We have to keep moving," Ayla said, her voice tense. They could be close. But Leo wasn't listening. He was too focused on the strange symbols on the walls. The same symbols were etched into the artifact they'd found. They were connected somehow. He just had to figure out how. "Wait," Leo said, his voice filled with sudden realization. "The artifact. It's here, in this place. This is where it was created." Ayla and Caden turned to him, confusion and concern written on their faces. "What do you mean?" Caden asked. Leo stepped closer to the wall, examining the symbols. The artifact wasn't just a weapon. It was a key to something much more powerful. And it's tied to these symbols. Ayla's eyes widened. "You're saying the artifact. It's not just a relic. It's part of something bigger." Leo nodded. Yes, the Galactic Council must have known. This place, this structure, it's ancient, and I think it was built specifically to house the artifact. But it was more than just storage. It was meant to guard something. Before they could discuss further, the sound of approaching footsteps reached their ears again, this time much closer. "We're running out of time," Caden muttered, pulling Leo's attention back to the present danger. "Agreed," Leo said, determination flooding his voice. He quickly turned to face Ayla and Caden. "We need to activate the artifact. Now." Ayla and Caden exchanged a glance, their expressions grim. They knew what that meant. Activating the artifact wasn't just a simple task. It was risky. But they had no other option. Together, the three of them approached the center of the room, where a large pedestal stood. Leo placed the artifact onto it, his hands trembling as the energy around them seemed to intensify. The air buzzed with power, and the walls seemed to pulse with an ancient rhythm. As the artifact settled into place, it began to glow, the symbols on the wall flaring to life. Leo could feel the power emanating from it, and for a moment, he thought he saw flashes of distant stars, galaxies, whole universes spinning through his mind. "This is it," Leo whispered. "This is what the Federation was after." A deep rumble echoed through the room, and suddenly, the entire structure seemed to shake. The walls groaned, and the floor beneath their feet trembled as though something was awakening. Something ancient, something powerful. Then, just as quickly as it began, everything stopped. The room fell silent. The glow from the artifact flickered and faded, and the symbols on the wall dulled once more. "What the hell just happened?" Caden asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Leo stood there, motionless, staring at the artifact. His heart was racing. I don't know. But we just unlocked something. Something big." Before they could react further, the loud thundering of footsteps filled the room. The Federation soldiers had arrived. "You shouldn't have done that," a voice called from the shadows. It was the same voice Leo had heard earlier. The leader of the soldiers. Leo turned to face the approaching danger. He didn't know what they had just unleashed. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same. The artifact had awakened something, and the Federation wanted it, for reasons they could only guess. What would happen next was beyond anything they could comprehend, but they knew they would have to fight to survive. And whatever came next, it would be the final battle that decided the fate of the galaxy.